Welcome to another episode of Exit Philosophy. He's Mal, I'm Griff. And before we get into it, the Blue Jays about to face the New York Yankees in the division series. Before we get into it, I'd like to thank you all for listening. Thanks for watching on YouTube, subscribing to Exit Philosophy. And if you enjoy us on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts, don't forget to like, share with your friends, and leave us a review. We'd appreciate it. Now, Mal, the wild card round, it's the first time that there's ever been first time, there's only been a couple of years of it, but that there's been more than one wild card round go the distance, go the full 3 games. Yeah. And there were 3 on Thursday.
Yes.
That's a lot of baseball to watch for 3 straight days. It was great. It was. And the baseball was pretty good. But one thing I noticed is that in playoff baseball, there's a lot of frustration offensively because the pitching is so good. And that there seems to be one big inning that decides the game. And that's the way the Blue Jays have been playing the whole month of September, basically.
And power always, as they say, power is the big thing in the playoffs, right? Because you're not going to be able to string 3 hits together. So the power still matters and still shows up. You get that big home run, so it's even more impactful. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out with Jays Yankees as well. But it was a lot of fun watching baseball for 3 days, and I'm not sure the games in Game 3 were as exciting as those games in Games 1 and 2 in the series, but obviously the drama was there.
That's the main thing, was the drama leading into the game and as the games unfolded. But like you said, there was all of a sudden some point in the games where the separation occurred, and with the bullpens and the pitching that you normally have on these playoff teams, it's very difficult to mount a rally. But you got to take advantage in the playoffs. You got to take advantage in these rounds of mistakes, because if it's going to come down to a big inning, usually you don't get 3 or 4 hits strung together in an inning. It's a big home run, as you pointed out. But when there's a mistake defensively, you have to take advantage. And that's going to be the challenge for the Blue Jays, is putting together at least one big inning. And we'll see. We'll discuss that in a minute. But the 4 wildcard rounds, I was cheering for Terry Francona and the Reds, but that was a wash. I mean, their World Series was making it to the postseason.
Yes, that was the big success. Yeah. The Dodgers became the Dodgers real quick, right? Game 1, you're like, here they are. So
I mean, finally, when they're healthy, they're the team that started the season. Do you think they're healthy enough to become a finalist, a World Series finalist?
They're the best team in the baseball, and they were in March, and they were in April, and they are in October. Now, it doesn't mean you win, but they're the best team in baseball, and they've got the most talent. I don't know if anybody can dispute that. That doesn't mean you win as a team all the time. So, I mean, are they most likely to get to the World Series? Sure, but it's not always how that works, especially in a 3 out of 5. So they're going to be challenged.
When Hunter Green spit the bit, that was it for the Reds. I mean, Hunter Green is supremely talented. 102 mile an hour fastball, carries it late into games, but he's got to get late into games. And of all the aces, of all the uber talented starting pitchers that we saw, he was the most disappointing.
Well, no question. I mean, Ohtani took care of that real quick too. I mean, when your Hyundai gets turned around like that, it can be demoralizing in a big moment. So that was their shot, right? If they could have stole Game 1 with their ace going, then you never know. Then you just got to steal one more, and it was over kind of quick. So, like you said, they made the playoffs. That was a hugely successful year for the Reds. There's no question.
And anything justifies bringing Terry Francona out of retirement, but that was sort of Dusty Baker, Bruce Bochy type resurgence, except they weren't as talented as those teams that went to the World Series. But for Francona, it's something to build on. They've got one of the greatest players in baseball in Ellie De La Cruz.
Yeah.
They've got one of the best pitchers, Hunter Green. They just need to build off of that. Now, going to the fascinating series was the intra-divisional Tigers and Guardians, especially the way the Guardians charged down the stretch, came from 15 and a half back to catch and overtake the Tigers. But then the Tigers bounced back. What was your impression of their ability to rebound from what was a huge disappointment, barely squeak into the playoffs, and then gain retribution against their Guardians for what happened during the regular season?
Well, again, I think it comes down to your big horse, right? I mean, Tariq Skubal, you can't be any better than that. Struck out 14, and they still it was almost an exact replica of the game leading into the playoffs, where he was mowing through them, and they had the 3-run inning with a ball not leaving in the infield. Same thing happened in this one. They scored, and the ball didn't leave the infield. It was unbelievable, but they managed to hang on to that game somehow. Vest shut that down at the most critical time, and that seemed to be the turning point. Those teams, neither one of them are great, but it's the fine line, but it was sure entertaining, that's for sure. So I think it came down to Skubal being Skubal and them getting that win in game 1. That was just the key, and then they flip-flopped game 2 and 3, and here they are. So the margins weren't very large in that series.
Yeah, and I saw
it was fun to watch. It was a lot of fun to watch that series.
We'll call it the Rust Belt Rumble, but there were, to me, I saw a chart where they rated the 12 offenses, and both of these teams were near the bottom in terms of playoff team and their offense. So you expected that good pitching would rule the day, and it did for both teams.
It was Eduardo Perez.
Yeah, that division was not very good, and then to play an intramural to advance, we'll see how they do against the Mariners, and we'll talk about that in a bit. And the Mariners and their outstanding starting pitching, we'll see how that goes.
I think Eduardo Perez was on that series, and he certainly wanted to make it clear how much he loved Javi Baez. I'm not sure what Javi Baez he's been watching the last.
The last couple of years.
I'm not sure this is the same guy I've been watching.
Yeah. I mean, if you can do 3 minutes on his ability
there seemed to be an agenda to promote Javi Baez. So.
His ability to tag at second base. I think
incredible.
Eduardo Perez and Jose Berrios are probably the biggest fans of Diaz, being brothers-in-law.
So
brothers-in-law.
So obvious. I'm like, oh my gosh. But anyways.
Bias, yeah.
Yeah, more bias to be seen. That's great.
The series I was surprised at, and I don't know why, but just the Padres seemed to me to be a team that needed to go on and needed to face the Dodgers at some point.
Right.
And they couldn't even get past the Cubs.
Yeah.
And that was a surprise to me. I mean, you get these bullpen arms starting in the 6th or 7th inning, and they're like all averaging 100 miles an hour, and yet they lose to the Cubs, and the Cubs weren't magnificent coming down the stretch. So what was your impression of how the Cubs pulled that off? I know Wrigley Field and all that stuff, but.
Yeah, again, it was a tight series, and, just one key hit there, one mistake here. It just seemed like the Padres weren't going to win that series for some reason. You know what I mean? It just felt like I don't know, like something's missing there. Something's missing with how they're put together. Their big guys just didn't come through when they needed it. I don't know. It just felt like the Cubs were just going to find their way through that. So, although I'm sure if they got I'm sure the Padres would have liked to get the call right in the 9th inning or whatever. That was DJ Rayburn. That was a tough.
I mean, that didn't mean that wasn't what swayed the series, but it certainly didn't help that all of a sudden you got one out with 2 runners on instead of bases loaded.
And then the next guy, they hit the next 2 batters with yanked pitches. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you never know
So
how that's going to continue.
I mean, who knows how it would have played out?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
But it was
Tough call.
It was a time for a tap, a helmet tap. But that'll be next.
I don't like, but yes.
That's for next year.
That's for next year. That's right.
But to your point of there's something missing with the Padres, and we said this, we talked about this before the series. We talked about this, the fact that the Padres seem like a group of mercenaries.
Yeah.
All come together. They dress in the same room, but that's about it. And then they go out on the field and they're playing for themselves, and it's, you can see the difference between that and what's happened organically in the Blue Jays clubhouse. And I mean, April and May were not fabulous months for the Blue Jays. And so you didn't see that same sense of all for one for all camaraderie. But as the season went on, it grew. And for the Padres, as the season went on, it didn't grow. So you have one-on-one battles, and when a guy pops up or strikes out and comes back to the dugout, next guy, please. But we'll talk about the Blue Jays as a 26-man roster, as a team going in. We'll talk about that a little later. But I was surprised and disappointed a little bit that the Cubs were able to win that series, because I was looking forward to some sort of a Padres-Dodgers matchup down the road, but we'll see. I have this theory, Mal, and we can discuss it.
You have a lot of theories.
That the Blue Jays in their 49th season, 48th, 49th, that it's become a generation thing. Like, there's 3 generations of Blue Jays fans, and to me, the original 77, we'll break it down into 20-year segments. So that means the third segment is only halfway through. First segment, I'm going to say, was 1977 season to 1996.
Yeah.
So that's a 20-year segment. And that includes that's the highlight segment for Jays fans. And that's an aging group now. That's an aging group. And I shouldn't say that because I had been in baseball 4 years when
we're one of them. Yeah.
But you had the expansion team, you had Exhibition Stadium, you had 85. To me, was a year where fans fell in love with a team that could win, that could show they could win. And the expansion years were over. And then you had that 20-year segment capped off in 92, 93. When they won back-to-back World Series. If you accept the premise of the 20-year segment for that generation of fans, would you say that's the best?
Oh, for sure. It's the birth of the organization, and it was almost a somewhat linear rise through, getting to a winning World Series. I mean, it was just a growth of the whole organization. Heartbreaks before you finally got to the ultimate prize, but it mattered because they got to the ultimate prize. I mean, it's just, seeing an expansion team grow from nothing, just the joy of having baseball, then to the joy of competing, the joy of winning, and then the joy of winning it all. I mean, it was, of course, there was nothing like it. And then you just become one of the 30 teams, so to speak, after that.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I joined the Blue Jays beat in 95 after leaving the Expos, where I'd been since 73 to 94. So 95, I was at all the World Series because I was with the volunteer PR force, but I missed that as a writer, as a fan. But when I started covering, it was an older generation of fans, and you would go on the road. I remember going to Cleveland, and the older fans standing outside the hotel waiting for players to come back, and so they could get their autographs and whatever. And of course, fans were kept out of the team hotels, but they were there. They were there just for the sole purpose of watching the games and getting autographs. So my second 20 years, my second generation of Blue Jay fandom goes from 1997 to 2016. Now, that's a generation that aged out from that first group. So now you got young entrepreneurs, and they were so pissed off with those years leading up to 2013. When 2013, Alex Anthopoulos made the big moves. He went out and tried to build, and he got John Gibbons back for some reason, and it was supposed to be 2013. It turned into 2015, but that's year 19 of this segment. Did 2015 and 16 save it for that entire generation?
Well, it's what I said about the first. If you're taking it in these segments, that you are, like, that was the birth of the franchise. This was the rebirth. They were dead. They were left for dead. That most of those years were so vanilla and boring and god awful that it killed a generation of baseball fans. To be honest with you, I mean, you were there, Griff. If there was 10 to 15,000 in the ballpark a lot of nights, I was there too. It was a pretty non-event, as they said. So there was a lot of apathy towards baseball, and 15 was the rebirth of the franchise. That's catapulted it into this next generation of diehard fans that have been there. But that was because of those teams. So it's the rebirth. There's no question.
Yeah, because it had a chance to really, they were talking ownership. They were talking payroll. I mean, J.P. Ricciardi insisted that he had no money to spend, and that he looks now jealously at the group that is on the field and the payroll. And he goes, if I had that, who knows what I could have done.
Well, but in fairness, JP got the job because he sold them on building franchise. Oakland days for no money for $50 million. So, I mean, we can't do that in the American League East. He found that out real quick.
And as a columnist, I pointed that out several times, and he was not happy about that. So, like, you got the job because you said you could win on a budget in this division, and now you're saying, well, they don't give me any money and I can't, blah, blah. And like, really? So it was not, it was for that fan base from 90, because the strike in 94 destroyed a lot of older fans who didn't want to come back. So if you're building the second 20-year segment, it was an entire generation, a new generation. Now, going to the third 20 years, which starts on 2017, and that would be the year after Edwin's wild card home run, and the second year of Shapiro and Atkins. And I would suggest that this year, this team and the amount of goodwill that this team has generated on and off the field and with the fan base, that the teams that made the playoffs earlier in the 20s then haven't won a game were not likable. Compared to this team, like, this is the team that will define this 20-game segment moving forward.
Maybe. I mean, it has the chance to, clearly. And clearly, the team itself is a likable bunch. But it's not that those other teams weren't a likable bunch. It was how they were mismanaged into postseason catastrophe. So, this team needs to win. That's for sure. I mean, if they peter out, I think you will lump this team in with all the other teams of postseason, disappointment and the way they've gone about it. So I think you're right. I think this team will be, if you win, people, you're beloved. So, but winning is the key. So far, so good. They're a bunch of plucky, not supposed to be here guys, right? So that matters. So I think that makes them very likable because of the underdog kind of status that they have, for sure. But they got to win.
Do you think that merely winning the division series against the Yankees and then showing well in the next series, probably against the Mariners, do you think that is good enough?
Yeah, I do. I think
It's
very
the
much.
Yankees. It's beating the Yankees.
Yeah, and winning around. You haven't won a game yet. This regime doesn't want a playoff game.
And winning the AL East, which again was people don't recognize the AL East for how well it played as a group. Again, 47 games above 500 as a unit, as a 5-team group, and even the Orioles at the bottom, if they were in another division,
they're not
having to play all of the teams that they did as often as they did. They might have been playoff contenders in the AL Central. Let's say.
And Griff, if they go out and get some pitching, you could see the Orioles winning the division again next year. I mean, it's not ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's not ridiculous.
In fact, I mean, we were right about the Rays. I think the Rays are the setting sun at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of who we expect them to be, but they're still competitive. You know what I mean? So I think this team is primed and posed, and this is what makes this so exciting and appealing. You get the Yankees in the playoffs, and there's so much to be gained from winning this series for everyone, most importantly, even Mark and Ross. I mean, let's face it, it's been a grind to get to this level, and winning is kind of important at this stage to turn around some reputations and things like that. So, but they've got to win. So you're right, but I think a lot of people remember 15 and 16, and again, I think you have to go through the down periods. And this generation, right? This is their moment. Let's see what happens. That's why it's so exciting.
But the Blue Jays down periods are always never meant to be down periods. The Astros intentionally went through down periods so they could be where they are for the 7-year stretch that they had.
Yeah, but I'm not sure you can do that anymore. But yes, you're right. It was
Blue Jays have always tried to contend, and it hasn't always worked out. And so it's a little different building strategy, and that's why this year surprised everyone. Probably the way that some of the players responded or stepped up, and the way that some of their big signings and acquisitions didn't step up, and so it surprised even Ross and Mark, I'm sure, in certain ways.
Sure. Yep.
So let's get into the series. Let's get into the Yankees series. Games 1 and 2. Both at 4:09 or whatever, 4 o'clock, basically, on Saturday and Sunday home games. That will be exciting baseball. That will be what fans have been waiting for, what the players have been waiting for, and we'll see who responds. But let's go down category by category, and I'll give you the first chance, and then we'll say who's got the edge in that category. And then we'll go through, and then we'll make a final analysis of what the series should look like. Let's start with Jays and Yankees catching. The Jays with Alejandro Kirk and Heineman. The Yankees with Austin Wells, Escara, and Ben Rice. Who do you like catching wise?
Well, I think you have to give the edge to the Jays. I'm not sure the Yankee catchers excite you. Well, certainly Ben Rice doesn't, but Austin Wells. I mean, anything can happen. But if Kirk comes and his stick is good, I mean, he's definitely decent behind the plate. His framing's exceptional. I just think they have a slight edge there. I think for the Yankees, they've been trying to. You don't play Ben Rice behind the plate if your catching's solid. Put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Advantage case.
And you can't DH Ben Rice very often when you have Giancarlo Stanton. So, he's a good young player, but he really doesn't have an optimum position to help the Yankees in a short series, I don't believe. But I'm with you. I give a larger edge to the Blue Jays. I mean, Austin Wells does nothing to excite me. Left-handed bat. He's got occasional extra base power, but whatever. But Kirk, the concern with Alejandro is hitting the wall.
Workload.
Yeah. I mean, he's over 100.
At the end.
Yeah. Well, but adrenaline can overcome fatigue, as we all know. So if the adrenaline carries Kirk, and he does what he did on that final weekend, because that's what he's capable of.
Yeah, they have an advantage.
Yeah, he went 5 for 50 leading into the final weekend. Then he hit a home run in his last at bat. Then 3 hits, including 2 doubles or 2 homers and a double. Yeah, that's the Kirk they need to see.
Right.
Infield. I'll go around both infields here. Vlad, then at second, Clement and Schneider. Then Barger and IKF and Clement at third, and Jimenez and Clement at short, compared to Goldschmidt, Rice at first, Jazz, Chisholm, and Ahmed Rosario at second, Ryan McMahon, who I laugh because it's a workout day on Friday, and the Yankees are offering up Ryan McMahon as their interview room guy. That's veteran savvy for a team that says, we've been here before. You can take our scrub. Yeah. I mean, he's not a scrub. He's a good player, but I'm sure people would rather hear from Judge or Jazz or
anybody. Yeah.
So third base, McMahon, Caballero, Rosario, and then Anthony Volpe at shortstop. Which infield do you like?
You have to like the Yankee infield, don't you? I mean, again, Griff, it comes down to do these surprise players, the Bargers, the Schneiders, the Clements, do they continue to overperform and work their way? I mean, but in theory, do you not want Chisholm and, Ben Rice? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I just think I'm not a big Ryan McMahon guy, so but I think he's a better third baseman over there than Barger. At short, if you're taking Jimenez, Volpe is a good defender. He had a bad year, but Jimenez is an elite defender. But there's just no stick at all. And then on the right side of the diamond, Vladdy's got a hit. I mean, he should take the advantage, but Ben Rice is a legit bat, and Goldschmidt can still play a little bit. So I'd say slight edge to the Yankees, but you probably disagree with me.
I disagree with you. I think I would give the edge to the Blue Jays infield. And here's a theory about facing the Yankees. The Yankees have 2 top left-handed starters, but they've only got 1 lefty in the bullpen. So we saw it at the end of the year, and we've talked about it before, that the Blue Jays lineup against left-handers, the way that it's presented with the maximum right-handed hitters, is not a good offensive lineup. When you've got IKF in there, when you've got Miles Straw in there, when you've got. So my theory with the infield is that even with the 2 left-handed starters, even with Max Fried and Carlos Rodon, that you need to have, not just Barger at third base, but Varsho in center field. You need those 2 left-handed hitters in the lineup against their lefties, because they only have 1 lefty in the bullpen. So you grind the starter, get him out after 5 or 6, and then you don't have to worry about the left-handers down the stretch. But that being said, Barger needs to play every day in this series. He needs to start even against the left-hander. We saw those 2 guys start on the weekend, and they put up a lot of runs as a team. Not those 2 guys necessarily, but I think that you just need to have the 2 lefties in the lineup just to present better. That being said, I do like the Blue Jays infield over the Yankees.
I'll give you that. And I think you need the power threat in there at third base. You need the power threat's got to be in there.
But the other factor is Volpe is, like, you listen to the Yankee broadcasters, and I would say that the national broadcasters that we've watched for the wild card series are the Yankee broadcasters.
Yeah, Coney.
There's a New York thing going on there.
Yeah.
But I think that Volpe is ready to create one of those big innings that you need by making a mistake somewhere in there.
Really? And
Jazz Chisholm is a great athlete, a great hitter, a great player. I'd love to have him on my team, but he's ready to make the middle infield of the Red Sox.
That's the Yankees' Achilles. That's their Achilles heel for sure.
So if you're looking for one big inning, it starts with a miscue up the middle
But I
by
mean,
the Yankees.
sure. I mean, Volpe's looked pretty good, though. Volpe's looked pretty good out there right now.
Yeah.
But you're right. Chisholm, you feel like he's still certainly capable of throwing a ball away. There's something along those lines.
Yeah.
So,
And then like fundamentally, and Buck Martinez pointed it out, and he got shit for it from online social media, that fundamentally they're not a good team. So these same guys that we're pointing out, they run the bases like they just got there, the 12-year-old team. Let's go to the outfield. For the Blue Jays, we got Varsho and Straw in center, Springer, Straw, Schneider in left, maybe Santander every now and then Lucas, Straw, and Springer in right field. For the Yankees, we got Cody Bellinger in left and Jason Dominguez occasionally. I don't think he'll see the field, but he's there. Trent Grisham and Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Who do you like?
I mean, distinct advantage Yankees. There's no question about it. But I mean, you need Nathan Lucas to keep getting big hits and Schneider to show up getting big hits again. But I mean, obviously, I don't think there's a comparison if you're looking at the quality of the player with the Yankees are trotting out there as opposed to the Blue Jays. So large advantage Yankees in the outfield.
I got huge. You got large. I got huge advantage Yankees in the outfield. Yeah. I mean, Nathan Lucas has been a nice fit in the 2-hole, but against the 2 left-handed starters that are going to be starting the probably at least 3 of the 5 games.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to be in the lineup. He might not be. If they go 2 left-handers in the lineup, like I suggested, it'll be Varsho and Barger. So he's been a factor down the stretch, but I don't think he'll be a factor in this particular series. Although once you get to the bullpen and all the right-handers that will be coming out,
you can see some TFS.
Yeah, and what you're going to see is a 13 or 14-man position player roster that are all going to factor in because the defensive lineup will come out. If they're ahead in the game by 1 or 2 runs, the defensive lineup will come out in the 8th or 9th inning. And if they're behind by 1 or 2 runs, you'll see pinch hitters coming off the bench.
Right.
So this will be the ultimate team victory or team effort by John Schneider's Blue Jays against the Yankees, which is good to see, which is good for those players sitting on the bench. They know they're going to be a factor.
Be ready. Yeah.
DH, I think I know your answer here. Well, no, I don't actually. Springer against Giancarlo Stanton and Santander sort of, who knows if he's even going to be on the roster or if he's going to be playing. But let's go Springer against Stanton. Who do you like?
I have to give the Jays the advantage. I mean, what's not to like about George Springer this year? I mean, Stanton can bury you. Stanton gets hot, no question about it. But Springer's been burying everybody all year long. He's one of the best hitters in baseball in this 2025 season. So you have to give Springer the edge, and he hasn't really stopped.
Yeah.
So I think it's advantage Blue Jays here.
I would have to bang the drum for Springer because of the fact that he's been there and done it. He's a World Series MVP.
Always been there too.
He is a World Series MVP, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and the other guy Stanton has all sorts of playoff postseason records, which don't really mean anything to me because until, there used to be only the World Series back in the day. And then after only the World Series, the postseason became one championship series. And now who knows how many more games we play. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would go with a definite World Series MVP of Springer over some accumulated bogus stat for Stanton.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's go now to pitching. Let's go to rotation. Gosman, let's just say Gosman, Bieber, and either Bassett or Scherzer, Savage. That for game 3 and 4. 2 out of those 3 guys for games 3 and 4. against Carlos Rodon, Max Fried, Cam Schlittler, and Louis Hill or Will Warren for the fourth starter. Who do you like?
I'm going to call it a dead heat. How's that? Take your pick. I mean, going down the stretch, I think you'd always said the Jays had the advantage, but they've kind of been showing some cracks here. But I still think Gausman and Bieber are pretty elite starters. Fried and Rodon look pretty good. It's hard not to let. And then, I mean, Schlittler clearly elevated himself last night. I'm going to call it dead heat. I don't see an advantage either way for either team, to be honest with you.
I give the advantage to the Yankees. And again, it's not like we said going into the playoffs that the Jays are a team that everyone respects but nobody fears.
Yep.
And the reason nobody fears is that there's not a Tarek Skubal at the front end. There's not that guy. There's not a Garrett Crochet at the front end.
No.
There's nobody that you fear going in. But then you look at the Yankees and nobody really – it's the same thing. Nobody fears Rodon. Nobody fears Max Fried. They're good pitchers. But Bieber and Gausman are good pitchers. And I just think, though, that the Yankees get a slight edge from me because Schlittler is legit. And we don't know Trey Savage if he's going to – he doesn't throw as hard. He's got that funky over the top and the huge splitter that really is a weapon. So we'll see. It's a slight edge to me to the Yankees. And I think that facing the Jays with left-handed starters is a good thing for an opponent. You know, it's a good thing for them because it makes you make a decision to leave left-handers in, like we've discussed, or to put all your IKFs in the lineup and hope that they cash. So bullpen. Blue Jays closer Hoffman, set up for right-handed Dominguez, Varland, Yariel, Braden Fisher. Left-handers. I would keep three left-handers. I would keep Little, Lauer, and Fluharty.
Yeah.
And so there's that bullpen. And then there's the Yankees with David Bednar stepping up clearly as their closer.
Yeah.
Setup guys, Devin Williams, Luke Weaver. The guy that probably is the best of the bunch is their setup guy is Fernando Cruz.
Yeah.
He's legit. And then somewhere Doval disappeared.
Yeah.
And their only lefty is Tim Hill. So who do you like advantage-wise?
I think they both have positives and scary moments. I'll take the Yankees slightly, and I think I'll take them because of the Bednar versus Hoffman issue. Bednar's looked pretty locked in since he had that crappy outing when he was acquired by the Yankees, and he's really established himself as the Yankee closer, and I think people are terrified of Hoffman coming into a one-run ball game. Outside of that, I don't know. You can see how it depends how it sets up each game. There's positives with the Yankees. Weaver hasn't been what he needs to be. Obviously, Devin Williams hasn't needed to be what he is. But what are you going to get from Yariel? What are you going to get from Seranthony? I like the Yankee bullpen slightly, and I think that's mostly because of what Bednar can shut you down, and I'm not sure Hoffman gives you that same feeling.
Yeah, I'm going to give a slight edge. I'm going to give an edge. I won't say a slight. I'm going to give an edge to the Yankee bullpen as well. David Bednar doesn't really scare you as a closer, but he does the job. Devin Williams, you're hoping he goes in. I mean, he's got a little Hoffman in him.
Yeah,
where he goes in and he can strike out the side, or his key pitches can work. But there's also the chance that he's going to cough it up. And you don't want that as a closer in a short playoff series. Over 162 games, Jeff Hoffman got away with it.
Yeah.
But all you need is one or two hiccups in the postseason, and you're done. But I do like the three left-handers because there are pockets of the Yankee lineup where you 3 out of 4 lefty hitters, 3 out of 5, and you can bring those left-handers in as weapons. But John Schneider can manage knowing there's only one lefty, and he'd be in a certain spot. You can almost predict when Hill will be entering a game. Right. So that brings us to manager, John Schneider against Aaron Boone. Who do you like?
Wow. I'm gonna go with Schneids, but I mean that's your first moment, like I don't know, like I mean obviously he's had previous moments that didn't go well, but this is a big one. How will he respond? I think the real question is, how does Schneider manage the game plan, and where does the front office factor into that? I think it's a real question. You know what I mean? And how that works itself out. But I love the way Schneider's handled this roster. I don't know. Maybe I'm just doing that from a personal bias, but I like Schneider. I think Boone. I think the players love Boone, but sometimes he leaves a lot to be desired for me, and bullpen usage and things like that. But I mean, you're splitting hairs. I'll give it to John. I'll give the young up and comer a slight edge here over the veteran manager.
Well, I think Aaron Boone is what John Schneider could be in 8 years if he keeps managing. Maybe. And I'm talking about in 8 years, snippety and short and pissed off with media and not wanting to cooperate. That could be John Schneider. But right now, John Schneider is fresh, fun, glib. He's good with the media. He uses his entire roster. And I think if he has gotten over the Jose Berrios 3-inning stint and it becomes his own man. I mean, look what Boone did. He walked out to the mound knowing he wasn't going to take the guy out, but he came back just to almost give the middle finger to the media and say, screw you guys and the fans. I can leave a guy, and I'm not governed by the analytics. Watch this, Yeah. And that could be Schneider in about 5 or 6 years.
Well, but I think it is a real, that's been the Achilles heel and obviously the major stories of their playoff failures. So, and I think Schneider's grown into the role and has more authority to do certain things. It's just going to be interesting to see how it plays out when those moments arise in the most critical times. Are we overplaying our hands or, and we'll know when the moment happens, that's for sure. So I think it's a big storyline.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I give the edge. I don't think I said who I give the edge to, but I give the edge to Schneider in that regard. So I don't even know what the scorecard is on who we've given the edge to, Yankees or Blue Jays. It doesn't matter. But what's your prediction in a 5-game series? Final.
I'm going to say the Yankees in 5. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll go Yankees in 5. I won't disagree with that. Because all you need is one, as we said, hiccup by the Blue Jays bullpen, and that turns the whole series around. If there are no hiccups, then they could win in 4 or 5. The Jays could win in 4 or 5, but who knows? But we'll just spin off of that into a segment, the list of the day. And I'll read you my list, and it's top 5 most important players for the Blue Jays in not only this series, but the postseason. I'll read you my list from 5 to 1. Okay. You can comment, react, make your own list, whatever. But I'll go number 5, Addison Barger. Number 4, Brendon Little. Number 3, Louis Varland. Number 2, Seranthony Dominguez. Number 1, Vlad.
Okay. Sure. I think it's I like that. Barger needs to be what he's been. So I know why he's on your list. I think for me, the one guy that I had 2 guys written down. I think one of them is Santander because he could impact and bring something to the table that they're missing, which is the power, depending on how he gets used. I guess for me, Jeff Hoffman, right? I mean, Jeff Hoffman is, for them to win, he's got to lock things down. It's the playoffs. These are one-run games, Griff. Like you're not winning 7-4, and he's getting a 3-run, 3-out save. So Hoffman, Vladdy's at the top of the list too. I mean, it's time. He's been kind of not really performing well this last month. But for me, Hoffman's got to be on that list, and for me, he's number one because I just think that's going to come down tight ball games, sphincter moments, and that could turn the tide. So Hoffman is number one on my list.
I put Dominguez, I put Seranthony number 2 on my list, and I left Hoffman off because I think that if this goes beyond this series and the Jays are still alive, that Dominguez, I wasn't a big fan when he came over because when he was traded at the deadline in 24, he did not respond. And He was traded at the deadline in 25, but it took him a few games, but he's responded, and he's a guy that he's added a weapon to get left-handers out. He may be, by the next round, he may be the Jeff Hoffman. I mean, John Schneider can show support, and Hoffman is signed beyond this year. But when you get in the postseason short series, you can't be going, well, he's my guy, he's my guy, he's my guy. If he coughs up a game and Dominguez is pitching well, all of a sudden he may be your guy.
My worry with all those guys, and the other guy was on my list too that you mentioned, is Command and Brendon Little. I mean, the Yankees could grind him into a pulp. Yeah. If he doesn't throw strikes, the Yankees aren't swinging at that nonsense.
Oh, hell no. And I think Mason Fluharty might become that. Mason Fluharty definitely is the guy who's coming in with runners on base. You're not bringing Brendon Little in with runners on base if both guys are available.
I had Fluharty as number 5 on my list, Fluharty, because I think he's going to get some big time at bats in the series, and that's saying something for that.
Yeah, I mean his career may have turned around. I mean, we made fun of him when he made his major league debut and he got lit up early in a high leverage situation, which he wasn't supposed to be in.
Right.
But his career, his season was made when he struck out Ohtani and got Mookie Betts to ground out and save the game in LA, which it wasn't just a big moment for him. It was a huge moment for the team and sort of created a situation where they could roar down the stretch and tie the Yankees and have the tiebreaker and everything. So Fluharty has already been a big part of the story.
And you need guys that can throw strikes in the playoffs in those big moments, and he's one of them, along with Varley.
Yeah.
But I worry about the other guys and their ability to, when it gets tight, your Dominguez, your Littles, your Hoffmans, even, you can't be walking guys in the playoffs. You just can't do it.
Well, I like I said, most important players, that's a Muggs game of going 1 to 5 because there's different definitions of most important,
Yeah.
But these are the guys that I feel need to step it up from what they contributed in the regular season.
Yeah.
Jeff Hoffman is on your list. Vlad is on both our lists.
Yeah.
Addison Barger showed signs, and he showed signs late, but he needs to step it up, especially if he's going to be in the lineup every day at third base against left-handers and right-handers. Let's see now. Okay, let's just preview the other series and get into a discussion of general stuff. But what do you see? What do you see in the Dodger Phillies series?
That's a bloodbath to me. I think those are the two teams you're expecting, to be. Yeah, obviously one of them's going to be in the championship series. One of those two teams you're kind of expecting to be in the World Series, are you not? For me, anyways. I mean, I get it. Milwaukee had a great year, but I think the Phillies and the Dodgers are the teams that scare anybody the most. So this is the big boy series over on this side of the draw. So I'm really excited to see how that plays out. I mean, you get Sanchez right out of the gate against Ohtani. That's a pretty nice, pretty nice start to the series for me. So I have no idea who's going to come out of that, to be honest with you, but I'd probably lean Dodgers.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. The difference maker might be the bullpens, and the Dodgers bullpen has not been performing, and the Phillies bullpen, they added to it at the deadline. And, if there is a difference for the Phillies, that could be it. But the Dodgers are deeper. That's a toss up. I can't even call it. Cubs, Brewers, intramural, NL Central. NL Central was the second best division in baseball to the AL East, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But Cubs, Brewers, I think this is probably their championship right here, both teams. Brewers weren't expecting to be there. Cubs, they beat a Padres group of mercenaries, and now they're playing like down the road in Milwaukee. And I think whoever comes out of that, as you point out, is going to be crushed by either the Dodgers or the Phillies. But I see the Brewers winning that.
Yeah, I think the Brewers, obviously the bye matters a lot here, I think. And the Brewers have been a great team. I think they're set up perfectly to dispatch of the Cubbies. I don't know whether relative ease is not the word for it, but I think they're set up well, the Brewers. So I expect the Brewers to get through. But again, it's baseball. Anything can happen.
Yeah. Here's another one that Tigers Mariners, the last of the other series. Tigers Mariners, who do you like in that?
Oh, I think you have to like the Mariners because they just keep running guys out, out of that rotation where the Tigers don't have the Tigers just aren't a great team. The Mariners, obviously, what a gift for the Mariners to get the winner of that series.
Yeah.
In Detroit. That's why, I don't understand this whole bracket thing that we use and why you just can't have the Jays they deserve the 6th seed, type thing. Not that that's how it would have worked out, but,
I mean, it used to be when there was a question. It used to be that you needed to know in advance of a series who your opponent was going to be. But these days, it's so flexible, and nobody the only hotels being booked are by the team. It used to be media needed hotels and sponsor needed hotels. But right now, you could go back to seeding after every round, and that would be more fair.
Now, I think it would have ended up the same way here. But, I mean, clearly, the Mariners were getting the better side of the draw, so to speak.
Well, the Tigers would have been the lowest seed still surviving.
No, they were oh, yeah, they are because they were the wild card.
Yeah.
You're right. I forgot that they didn't win.
The Jays would have been playing
the Jays
the
would have got the Tigers. Yeah, that's right.
And the Yankees would have got the Mariners.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I was just forgetting. Forgetting the Tigers collapsed. They won the wild card. Yeah.
Yeah, they used to be like an automatic. They'll be number 1 seed overall, and they'll get by.
Yeah. That's right. But
look what happened now.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun. And the Jays at 4:10 or 4:08 or 9 on Saturday and Sunday, and then a day off, and then they head to Yankee Stadium. It'll be great. It'll be great baseball in all 4 series. So we're looking forward to it. General discussion before we get into NFL, and we won't apologize for where we are in NFL because it's early.
Early. Yeah.
Why? These are just general discussion items, Mal. Why are questions still being asked about Bo's availability for the ALDS? I mean, that is the most ridiculous question being asked right now, and people continue to suggest that he might be.
Well, in fairness, and maybe some of it's calculated, I don't think it is, but the team hasn't been honest. The only guys being honest are when the players are interviewed. So I guess the speculation grows because the team just hasn't said he's unavailable. So you talk to Ross or any of the brain trusts, and they give you their silly generic gobbledygook, and then you talk to one of the players, and they go, "Yeah, maybe he can be here next round." Like he's obviously not playing. He hasn't even run the bases. Yeah. And again, we talked about this long before it became a story in the media that it was highly unlikely he was going to be available at this point, and he's not. He's just not ready to go. And I mean,
and even for the next round,
I don't understand if he hasn't even started. his progression and his rehab, which is the basics of running the bases. Right. Those are the basics.
Or playing shortstop.
Yeah, like how do you play shortstop if you can't run the bases? So I guess it's something to talk about, but he's clearly unavailable, and who knows what can happen this round, whether he gets close enough to do any of those things. But until you start seeing him actually doing baseball activity, he's not close.
So, and further to Bo's situation, I was not a big fan of when they clinched on Sunday, the pile of humanity on the field, and then strolling in from the side was Bo. Like, is he not feeling a part of this? And he was sort of tried to make it sound like he was thrilled when he was interviewed by Hazel, but he clearly is not thinking that he's a part of this and may not be by the time they finish.
Yeah, and it's a tough spot for him, I bet. You've busted your rear end for this organization it's the only one and you finally get to the place where you've wanted to be and you can't play. So, yeah, I'm sure it's a tough spot, but yeah, he it didn't look like a guy who's going, great, I'll be back in the lineup.
Right.
That's for
hold the fort until I get there.
Yeah. It's almost looked like I'll watch this, and I've played my last game as a Blue Jay.
Yeah. The second item, the Jays get a second opinion on Berrios, and there's no structural damage. Imagine.
Maybe they can bring him back for the next round.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible.
It sure is.
I think, is it because they took everybody off the IL? I think the IL only went to the end of the season. I looked at transactions on the Jays MLB.com site, and everyone was returned to the active roster.
Right.
So I guess any of those guys could come back and play.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. They're all available.
Okay, I'm a old school guy.
Another
item. Opinion. What's your opinion on the way the week was handled with intra-squad games Wednesday and Thursday, $10, and the net proceeds to Jays Care, meaning that they can take the expenses of bringing all the Buffalo players and housing them, and they can take that out of the fans' money and then put the rest into Jays Care. I'm a big fan of the baseball gods, and I didn't think that was a good thing until I saw that Seattle did it, Philadelphia did it. Everybody seems to be doing it. Everybody to buy it.
I don't think there's a right answer, right? I don't think it's the arrest. Playing games is always risky to a certain level. I think you just hold, workouts. And guys get the work they want. Guys throw in the pen. Is there really any value to somebody hitting off of, a couple innings off of Kevin Gausman? I'm not criticizing it because I don't know what the right answer is. I think people are worried about getting stale. People are worried about, not getting enough rest. I know the staff weren't happy. Having to go to work.
Yeah.
But fine. How about fine? I don't know if there's a right answer. I wouldn't do it because I wouldn't want my guys going 100% in a simulated game, and that would concern me.
Or Paxton Schultz breaking the hand of Jimenez or something.
Yeah, something like that.
But the Mariners did have Ichiro play right field for all 6 innings of their Wednesday game, and that
makes it worth it.
That would have been worth it if Jose Bautista had saddled up and played right field for the game. No hitting.
And why not though? Right? Why not something to give something to the fans? That would have been really exciting. Edwin and Bautista, bring those guys in there and just Obviously, Joe Carter was here because I see that commercial every 3 innings.
I know how happy you are to be seeing that. And
yeah,
by the end of October, we'll
they
be.
haven't even played a game yet. It's all Joe Carter all the time. So,
one more item, then we'll get to NFL. The down the stretch they come. The Blue Jays had a lead, fairly significant. It got up to 5.5 at one point, but you always know that it was not going to be a collapse. That the Yankees had a favorable schedule. They played Orioles, White Sox, Orioles down the stretch, so you knew you had to win almost every game. So I wouldn't call what happened with the Jays a collapse as much as it was getting the job done and winning as many games as they needed to, and wiping your brow and going, "Whew, that was good."
Well, they didn't collapse. I would have called it that if they didn't hang on. They'd lost a whole bunch of games before winning the Final Four. So they managed to turn it around and avoid the collapse. But I mean, they clearly haven't been playing their best baseball. I mean, and nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. But I think you saw some cracks in the rotation, even which they can't have. So they got through it, and fortunately, they got through it so they could regroup, and that might be the most important thing. If they're going to win this thing, it may be the fact that they did hang on, got the bye, and were able to, reset and put their best foot forward now. So they're, like I said at the start, they're in a prime spot. They're poised to do something really, really exciting for the history of this franchise, and it's all in front of them now. So, they're rested. They're completely rested.
The last item, eight vacancies.
Intrasquad games.
Yeah, 8 vacancies for the manager in Major League Baseball. Bob Melvin, Giants. Rocco Baldelli, Twins. Bruce Bochy, Rangers. Ron Washington, who had surgery but was replaced by Ray Montgomery, who's also not being invited back by the Angels. Brian Snitker mutually agreeing to leave the Braves. And then the Nationals, Orioles, and Rockies, who were all operating with interim managers.
Yeah.
Do any of those 8 surprise you?
No, none of them actually. Not at all. I think, and that's seems to be where it is always at, around the 8 out of 30, right?
Yeah,
that's a lot of turnover, unfortunately. But I would say I'm not surprised by any one of those. I mean, even in Atlanta, like Snitker it was at the end of his deal, down year. I feel like that kind of run its course for everybody there. So, I don't. Any other ones just kind of make sense to me.
The only one that surprised me a little bit was Rocco Baldelli. They completely throw everybody overboard at the trade deadline, giving up on the season. And I know that they hadn't been performing to the trade deadline. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done that. But like his tenure from 2019 to 2024 was good enough for me. And then when they threw everybody overboard and then fired them, I don't know.
But I think the Twins have the expectation, and maybe rightfully so, that they were the best team in that division always, and they never really showed it.
Yeah.
They had some success, but you were never overwhelmed with how well they played or anything. And I don't know, they just always seem to underperform their expectation to me. So I'm not surprised at that.
All right, so let's go to NFL now. Wrap up. This is a special segment, so we're a little long, but we'll go to NFL.
Okay.
We'll wrap this up quickly. Here we go. Season so far through 4 weeks. Mal 8-12, Griff 10-9-1, and the total, because we've had 3 games that were overlaps, 17-19-1. So you're not winning money, but we're just getting ready to rumble right now.
That's right.
Week 5. Here we go, and 5 picks, top 5 picks from Mal, and I will make a note, and then we'll check it out next week. What do you got?
All right, I've got starting the Cleveland Browns at home, getting 3.5 versus Minnesota. I don't think the QB change actually hurts Cleveland, so I'll take the 3.5 with that defense. I really like the New York Football Jets. Getting 2.5 versus Dallas. I think the Jets are going to win this game.
Okay.
Personally. The other one, big time quarterback change, but I think the team rallies around home game. Baltimore getting 2 versus Houston. I mean, Baltimore is a significantly better team. I know there's injuries. I know, but I think the QB is going to be just fine filling in. Another underdog on the road, Tampa Bay getting 3.5 at Seattle. I think Baker wills that team to whether they win or lose, it's a 3-point type of ball game. And the last one that keeps killing me, but I'm going back to the well, plus 7.5, the Tennessee Titans on the road at Arizona. I've got 5 dogs.
So you'll be able to say, yeah, I had Tennessee when they covered.
That one time.
That one time. I like those. In fact, I've got one the same, and it's my first pick I'll mention here. I got the Ravens plus 2 against the Texans.
Okay.
I think the quarterback change is fine. At this point, it'll be a different look. Derrick Henry, they have talented wide receivers. I think that's a lock, as a matter of fact.
Oh, boy.
Being an underdog at home?
Yeah, we both got it. Trouble. Yeah.
I like the Carolina Panthers. I'm not a big Dolphins fan. You know that. I got the Carolina Panthers at home getting a point. Home dog. I like that. I have under 42 points for the Giants and the Saints. I know that it's a great quarterback name matchup, Rattler and Dart.
Yeah.
Two great quarterback names.
That's worth 10 points right there.
But not great quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So I'll go with the under 42. Then the Commanders, I'm a big Commanders guy. I think their running game is going to come around and that they're going to control the line of scrimmage here and they're going to get it done, getting 2.5 points at the Chargers. So that's my 4th game. And then the 5th one, I like the Jacksonville Jaguars getting 3.5 on a Monday night at home against the Chiefs. How do you like that?
Really? Well, 3.5 is important. So
yeah,
they've shown to be in games, haven't they? And the Chiefs, wow, that was a big bucket to the Ravens. But I think at home I don't mind that. Chiefs are a different team, that's for sure.
So that about wraps up this week, and you can follow and bet all those games that we recommended. And next week you'll be smiling. You'll be smiling as we go over the success we had. Anyway, we'll also be smiling because there's some great
cashing your checks and your winnings and watching the Blue Jays in round 2.
There'll be some great baseball coming up, Blue Jays, Yankees, and the other 3 series as well. And we'd just like to thank you all for subscribing, for watching, for listening where you get your podcasts, for sharing with your friends, and be sure to leave comments and what you think of the podcast. So Exit Philosophy done for another week, and we will be back at you with results from the Jays series, hopefully on the upside for the home team. But we'll be back with you next week. And thanks, Mal. Thanks for co-hosting.
No problem.